which benefit us as students, which are right for society. Because at the end of the day, all of us come to these colleges certainly for a better life. It could be a personal reason that your parents could be college educated, and the college graduates who come to college because they went to college as kind of part of the process. And for some of us, we are probably the first in the family to come to college. And for all of us, I think the shared perspective, shared purpose is to have a better life. But with the cycle of debt and not having enough awareness about the loans we're taking out and not having enough financial aid, I think we're actually getting a cycle of not helping us ourselves, but actually getting burdened by debt. And then when we go out to the job market, you try to get the first job that comes along the way. You cannot hold out for a job which is better for you, which actually better suits your interests. So you're kind of chained to the cycle of debt for the rest of your life. So it's critical for us as students to make sure that higher education becomes more affordable, and the only way to do so is to become a voice, is to voice your opinion and become a voice of our peers. So that is why we exist here. And the second statistics the surprise was, so I was reading a book on lobbying. So this is actually, it's a statistic that's been determined by hundreds of studies, which is that only 2 to 3% of the constituents actually reach out to their representatives in a year. So that roughly comes down to 10 to 20,000 people if you look at an average Californian district. And most of these people are talking about their personal issues, not about issues that affect the community. So a smaller percentage of these people are the ones who are reaching out to tackle big issue topics. So that is our strength here. And as students at this campus here, we have this ability to have 25 students in this one place. Now it's up to us, it's our responsibility as part of Lobby Corps, as students who are interested in Lobby Corps, to make sure we actually are able to mobilize these students. We're able to engage them in the conversation so they're able to represent themselves and find a venue for them to get engaged. And that's what community doesn't have. A lot of people have, a lot of people above the age of 24 who are out in the workforce, and they belong to different unions and stuff, but they don't have, I don't think they have as much strength as having 25,000 students just in one place. But I think our problem is we're not able to communicate, we're not able to mobilize, we're not able to engage people. That is where students draw back is. So those are, those two big things, and just want to kind of highlight a few things for you guys there. And just getting back into the process of, how the bills move, I guess that's something that I want to share with you guys. And then from there, we'll just move into the bill package. We have, Lobby Corps members who have worked on these specific bills. So I'll let them speak about their bill, and so you guys have an idea of the different bills on our bill package. And finally, we have an MB. It's a private research firm based out of Sacramento. We in contact with them, so they do background research for us. They help us strategize our agenda for each month at the Capitol. So let's start the process. There are two separate processes. One is how does a bill move within ASUCD, the student association we have here. You can turn this on, please. So internally, what we do, we have our weekly meetings every Wednesday at 7 p.m. On the third floor, and those are open door meetings. I know we probably need to do a better job of outreaching to students, but those are open door meetings, so anyone can walk in. So students who are here, not part of Lobby Corps, you guys are welcome to come in and join us for discussions. So we discuss various bills throughout the year as they come up at the California legislature. And once as a group of students, we decide, well, this issue impacts it directly, and if we feel strongly about a specific issue and feel we need to support this legislation, then we kind of initiate the process. Then the bill goes to the ASUCD Senate. They assign it to different commissions. ASUCD, just like California legislature, has a lot of different commissions within itself. So it goes to our different commissions for a week, and it comes up at the ASUCD Senate table, and that's where all the ASUCD senators, which we elect, hopefully you guys participate in the election process there too, end up making a decision whether or not to support this. Our UC Davis campus that we should support this bill or we should oppose this specific bill. And once that process is taken care of, we as Lobby Corps members go out there and lobby on this specific bill. Now, what does lobbying mean? Lobbying could mean talking to specific offices about, about our concerns, just letting them know this is how we feel about a specific bill, and kind of engaging them in a conversation, educating them about the student perspective. So, and without student support, all we can do at our best is to be an educator at the Capitol. And the next step is to actually, have involve students on campus, have hundreds of students sign this petition letter saying they are concerned about this issue. So once you have a strong student support behind the bill, then you can actually start influencing offices. So that's where we need student support on campus. We need student engagement. So lobbying is basically talking to offices and kind of engaging students on campus about the issues we feel they should be concerned about, the issues we're working on, those specific bills we're working on, and letting them know how they can voice their opinion at the Capitol. Now at the Capitol, so that's a separate process. So the bill, the way Capitol works on a 2-year cycle, but a basic breakdown is once the bill gets introduced, they call it House of Origination. So we have a Senate and an Assembly, so there's two houses in the Capitol. So let's say a bill gets introduced in the Assembly. So once it gets introduced on the Assembly floor, it gets assigned to different committees within the Assembly. So most of the bills we work on goes to the Education Committee and the Appropriations. The Appropriations Committee looks at the money aspect of the bill, and the Education Committee looks at this kind of educational perspective of how does it going to impact the higher education institutions, the students attending those, the administrators overseeing the higher education institutions in the state of California. So once it moves to different committees in the House of Origination, in our case the Assembly, it goes to an Assembly floor vote. And once it passes the Assembly floor vote, it moves over to the Senate now. So it repeats the same process, it gets introduced, it goes through different committees in the Senate, most likely Education and Appropriation, and finally comes down for the Senate floor vote. And once that's taken care of, now throughout the process, author's office may end up making amendments, and that's true for 99% of the time. They do end up making amendments. So what happens is and if there are significant amendments, it comes back for the Assembly floor vote just to make sure all the Assembly members are on board with the new amendments which were made when the bill was in the Senate. And that process needs to be wrapped up by end of August. And all the bills who have passed the Assembly and the Senate, or both the houses, they need to be at governor's desk by August 31st or September 1st, I think one of those 2 dates. And then governor has up to a month to decide whether or not he wants to sign a bill into a law or whether he wants to veto a bill. So that's the process that goes around at the Capitol, and the initial process of what happens with the ASUCD here. And I have a few handouts for you guys. I'll start passing these around, and I'll take any questions as we go along. That was a brief, quick overview, so if you have any questions, let me know. That way I can answer those.
Actually, I have a question. If a bill is vetoed, does it have to be amended and then sent back to the governor's office for signing in that same year, or can it do another cycle?
If a bill is vetoed by the governor's office, you just have to start the process again.
Okay.
So the first handout that's going around, it kind of explains what Lobby Court does. It's about a unit. And the second handout that's coming your way, this is a compilation of different facts. I was looking at, we were looking at these studies in the beginning of the year. So it kind of combines different facts from various credible sources, kind of highlights how do Californians feel about the funding for higher education institutions? Do they feel it's important for the state to look into the funding? And I'll encourage you guys to go through it. So really, even though it's a 6-page document, it's a quick read, it shouldn't be too long. And the handout that's coming your way right now is a brief outline of different bills that Lobby Court has worked on in the past 6 years. Since 2006, we have been lobbying actively at the Capitol. It kind of shows you the status of the bill, whether or not the bill passed both houses, whether it was vetoed by the governor's office, or did it even make to one of the votes. So the final two are just the first one that will come along your way is the bills on our bill package this year, and the second one would be a tentative list of bills we're working on for this year. So again, as far as this year's schedule goes, we're still working on finalizing a bill package. We have few bills left which are going to be seen by the ASUCD Senate this week or this coming week. So with that, we hope to finalize the bill package. But it's an ongoing process. It's a working document, so we keep adding things to it. But we hope to finalize a major chunk of it by mid-spring. And then a month of May is considered a lobby month. That's when we target students on campus to go out and lobby with us at the Capitol. And with that, I'm just gonna let's see. So we'll just go from from top to bottom on the bill package sheet, and I have a few, I'll just call it the names of people in the lobby for when we're working on specific bills. So you guys can introduce that specific bill, and if we don't have a speaker, I'll just go ahead and just talk about it myself. So just going down the list, the first one is AB 832. Well, okay, let's see. You'll see there are three big topics which are highlighted on the right side: affordability, transparency, and accountability. It's on that side. And it kind of explains to you what we're looking at under affordability this year. One is to increase access to higher education institutions, basically by providing more funding for students, for low-income students or middle-class families to be able to accommodate or to be able to afford the college tuition. And under transparency, we're looking at, again, raising financial literacy among students, providing consumer protection for students. So those are two good topics in transparency this year. And accountability, this year's focus under accountability is primarily on ballot measures that passed in this recent November election. So there are two big ballot measures that were of concern to us as students, or students going to these colleges. One was Prop 30, which basically created, I guess the way the idea was sold was, hey, California taxpayers, let's take on this additional tax, which to be invested in making all the public buildings more energy efficient. And how does it relate to students? Well, UC, CSC, community colleges are also considered public institutions. So some of the funding would supposedly should be coming towards UC, CSC, community colleges as well. So, so students on campus have this opportunity to get engaged in the process, to get some kind of on-campus job. Certainly, when you start a construction of a project, you have certain, there are multiple rules that are created. So again, that's another venue for students to get involved in the process, improve their resume, so when they go out to the job market, they can basically say, well, they have those skills, working on those energy efficiency projects. So those are two big propositions that passed back in November. So we're just under accountability. We just want to make sure that the ideas are I guess the ideas that were proposed, or the way the propositions were sold to the consumers or to the taxpayers in California is still, and that they're still holding to those and they're still serving the students and higher education institutions in that manner. So those are three big topics we look at. We're looking at three big topics that Lobby Corps has been looking at in the past years, and I can just briefly explain what we're looking at, which topic we're looking at under each of those big topics. And now, starting with the affordability side, the first bill we have on there is AB 832. This is, underneath you'll see it's a 2-year bill, which basically, so as I said, California legislature works on a 2-year cycle. So this year, there was a strong opposition from I guess, some kind of strong trust group there, which made the author's office to pull the bill back and reconsider the language of the bill. So they will be reintroducing it next year. So rather than having to go through the whole process and get a reader or not make it through the entire process, the author's office decided to pull the bill and work with trust groups which are going to be affected by this bill and reintroduce it in November of this year. So this bill kind of deals with basically asks UC, CSU, and community college campuses to provide or to start accepting EBT cards. Those are food stamps at, like we have Provo down there. So students who have who receive food stamps should be able to use those or charge money to those cards when they buy food at the Provo. And I'm not sure if it's available to be used at a bookstores, but this bill specifically says convenience stores and bookstores on UC, CSU, and community college campuses should be installed with an EBT machine, so students who have access to get those food stamps are able to use the money from that. And next to those SB 150, I'll let David talk about them.
Alright, so SB 150 basically just closes the little gap in the non-resident tuition fees for community colleges. So for special part-time students, so example would be if you're in high school and you're turning to community colleges, also while you're in high school to get something like get 18 credit, then you don't have to pay the non-resident fees that community colleges would charge otherwise. So it kind of closes that like small gap. Because I guess students who are in high school and community colleges it's like a small like minority of students.
Okay, so for SB 284, it establishes the California or College Access Tax Credit Fund. Basically, taxpayers pay into this fund as like an optional charitable donation. And what this fund creates is just more money in the Pell Grant system to provide grants to students. So from here it says it would increase the annual stipend from $1,473 per student to $3,000 per student. Because when the Pell Grant was created, we had like a certain amount for the grant that students would get. It was about $900 when it was first created, and today it's only about like $1,473, and it hasn't really been adjusted for inflation. So adjusted today, it should be about $3,000 per student, but it's not at that level. So the 284 part of this like bill duo would create the fund that the taxpayers pay into, and then 285 kind of allows for the disbursement of these funds to provide more Pell Grant B awards to students. And Pell Grant B basically is for non-tuition costs such as textbooks, living